the Lord's Day is basically from the Shabbat to the day of the resurrection, the day of the Lord. That's what we call Sunday. The day of the resurrection, the day of the Lord. The first day of the week. Sunday Eucharist. Okay. So this is the day which the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. That is Psalm 118. So the day of the resurrection, the new creation. We explained that this earlier on, I think, when we said that the Jewish people knew the Shabbat, the Sabbath. It's the day on which you rest and basically praise, give thanks, and do all those things. Remember, be appreciative of covenant relationship, deliverance from sin. But then we said Jesus comes, and basically there is a transformation from movement from the seventh day of the week to the first day of the week. And we said that the reason is simple. The covenant, the first covenant of creation, okay, was basically violated. The sin of Adam and Eve, and subsequently all sin. So this creation, basically the first creation, as Scripture tells us, fell from grace. Which means that God in His again infinite love and wisdom begins the process of recreation, to recreate, to make everything new, to renew everything. And so this process of recreation culminates in the passion, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, through God and through man. Okay, so if creation fell from grace, and now a new day has dawned, the seventh day, what is the new creation? The new creation is the humanity of Jesus Christ. The humanity He shared, which is our humanity. Because humanity fell from grace, He assumed our humanity to recreate it from within. So the day on which His humanity rose from the dead is the day when creation was recreated, was made new. So we call it the day of recreation, the day of the new creation. And because we celebrate creation covenant, so we are no longer bound by the day of creation, the covenant which fell from grace, which covenant now has been renewed. So instead of celebrating the Sabbath, which is the day of the old creation which fell from grace, now the first Christians, the apostles, are celebrating the day of the resurrection, which is the day of the dawning of the new creation. That's how they moved from the Sabbath to the day of the resurrection, the day of the Lord. So when you gather to do what you did on the Sabbath, now you do on the day of creation, and much greater, you gather on the first day of the week, which is the day of the new creation. So we cannot celebrate the old when we have the new. That's the whole idea, essence, reality of the covenant in the temple being torn in two. The old covenant giving way to the new covenant. So how can you be locked up in old worship when old worship is no more? Now we have a new worship, a new creation. So that's how we moved from the Sabbath to Sunday. Okay. So Jesus rose from the dead on the first day of the week. Because it is the first day, the day of Christ's resurrection recalls the first creation. Because it is the 8th day following the Sabbath, it symbolizes the new creation ushered in by Christ's resurrection. For Christians, it has become the first of all days, the first of all feasts, the Lord's Day. And as it is called in different languages, the Lord's Day. And we call that Lord's Day popularly today, Sunday. So, this is a quotation from Justin the Martyr, in the second century, early second century. How do they do this? Of course, we already see this in the Acts of the Apostles. But Justin Martyr, one of the early fathers of the church, what does he report? We, being Christian believers, people belong to the way, we all gather on the day of the sun. For it is the first day after the Jewish Sabbath, but also the first day when God, separating matter from darkness, made the world. And on this same day, Jesus Christ, our Savior, rose from the dead. So now the first day of the week has become the first day of the new creation. So the first day of creation now is the first day of recreation. The day of the sun. Okay, so Sunday, fulfillment of the Sabbath. You have to know, yes, how was the Sabbath fulfilled? Sunday. Sunday is expressly distinguished from the Sabbath, which it follows chronologically every week. For Christians, it is ceremonial observance. Its ceremonial observance, meaning the Shabbat, its ceremonial observance replaces that of the Sabbath. In Christ's Passover, Sunday fulfills the spiritual truth of the Jewish Sabbath and announces man's eternal rest in God. So remember the rest, God rested on the third day. It refers to our eternity with God. When we bury the dead during the funeral liturgies, we pray now they rest in God, rest in peace. Usually we overuse that word, rest in peace. Even people who don't believe, they say rest in peace. Which peace? And whose peace? There is no God. Whenever there is tragedy, politicians, believers, non-believers, they all say, we need a moment of silence. I don't know what that means. What is the meaning of that moment of silence? You know? Moment of silence. Even people who profess to be atheists, people have died, we observe a moment of silence.
Where did it come from?
It's supposed to be a moment of prayer, but because prayer is not a cool word, so he says silence. That's the only viable explanation.
They're trying to hide prayer.
Yes, to try to hide the prayer.
It's about the Pledge of Allegiance. That's where I learned it when I was young. The moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Which is God. Okay? Yes. So that this is something very, very serious. So man's rest in God. Because God made us for himself, that rest refers to eternal happiness. Eternal peace in God, eternal happiness. Because God created us for happiness. Okay? So when whatever that's saying, the pursuit of happiness. Okay? How does it go? It goes. Pardon?
Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness?
Yes. Because says, number one, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What is the pursuit of happiness? That phrase has been basically come to be understood as pursuit of licentiousness. Okay? Like anything I want, okay? Licentiousness. But licentiousness is not really happiness. Okay? So, that's the rest. For worship under the law prepared for the mystery of Christ. And what was done there prefigured some aspect of Christ. Those who lived according to the old order of things have come to a new hope. That is St. Ignatius of Antioch. Okay? Those who lived, this was at the dawn of basically around 100, 105 AD. So those who lived according to the old order of things have come to a new hope, no longer keeping the Sabbath, but the Lord's Day, in which our life is blessed by Him and by His death. So just to think about this, you've heard of the people called Seventh-day Adventists, who basically criticize us for violating the Sabbath. And you wonder who they believe in. Very early, 100 AD, the apostles themselves and the fathers of the church are telling us what they understood the Sabbath to be. That the transition has, not really transition, but a fulfillment has taken place. So why hold on to a shadow when you have the reality, the real thing? So people can really be mistaken. Okay. So the celebration of Sunday observes the model commandment inscribed by nature in the human heart to render to God an outward, visible, public, and regular worship as a sign of His universal beneficence to all. Now this is a very important thing. The celebration of Sunday observance observes the moral commandment inscribed by nature. Here we're talking about natural law. When we say nature in this sense, we don't see that, oh, nature gave this to us. No, God gave it to us, but we say nature because it's inscribed in nature by the giver of nature, who is God. So that's the meaning of natural law. Laws written in nature in our hearts, which can be ascertained and understood by reason, even without faith as such. That's why you see every human being is spiritual. We have that natural aptitude to worship. Even people who say, I don't believe there is God, I don't believe in the spiritual things, they end up in devil worship. Because it is there, it is innate. You have a spiritual aspect to you which needs satisfaction, fulfillment. If you don't fill it with a good spirit, Holy Spirit, you will fill it with an evil spirit. It can't be blank. Something has to fill it. Okay? It can't be blank. Because it's there. So there is that by nature, okay, described by nature in the human heart. What is it? To render to God an outward, that's very important, visible, public, and regular worship. So for people who say that I believe, but I don't wear my faith, okay, it is there, but I don't publicize it. One has to let those people know that you are crazy. Because if you don't publicize true worship, you are going to publicize false worship. You are going to publicize the idols you worship, whether sports or you name it. Okay? You are going to publicize it. Whether politics, whatever it is, that's your God. You are going to publicize that. We publicize what we worship. If it is God, we publicize it. If they are idols, we will publicize them at our own expense. But it is there, it is innate. Outward, visible, public, and regular worship as a sign of His universal, basically, beneficence or benevolence to all. God gives, and what He gives is expressed in what we do and what we say. Sunday worship fulfills the moral command of the Old Covenant, taking up its rhythm and spirit in the weekly celebration of the Creator and Redeemer of His people. So, when we go to Sunday, we fulfill the third commandment. It's not that the commandment has changed. The commandment is the same. What is the purpose of the commandment? To offer God outward, visible, public, regular worship as a sign of His benevolence, beneficence. Okay? So all that is the same spirit with which we approach Sunday, but in a more exalted way, because we are people of the new covenant. Okay. So Sunday Eucharist, the Sunday celebration of the Lord's Day and His Eucharist is at the heart of the Church's life. What does the Church teach? The Eucharist is the source and the summit of all the life and activity of the Church. Just to think about that. All the life and activity of the Church proceeds from the Eucharist. And the Eucharist is the destiny of the life and activity of the Church. Not just the life, but the activity that proceeds from that life comes from the Eucharist and returns to the Eucharist. It is the goal and end, the goal and summit of the life and activity of the Church. So that's how important it is. So if we abide by this commandment and draw life from the Eucharist, we are alive and active as children of God. If we don't, we are basically dead or very sick, and we can't be active. So whenever you hear these people who never come to church on Sunday, Catholics, 70% of them, and they say, well, you go to church every Sunday, but look at what the church looks like. Look at how the church looks like. Priests did this, you people did this, you are all hypocrites. And this is a Catholic telling you that. What should be your response? I don't come to church, priests abuse the kids, and you are all this, and you are all hypocrites, you hate, you do all these things, and yet you pretend to go to church to pray. What should be the response? We are? You ask them, are you a member of the body of Christ? Are you Christian? They will say yes. Are you Catholic? Yes. Okay, so you have a body. Okay? Hey, you have a body.
That's cute. Right,
Okay, buffet. Let's do the buffet. So you have a body, and this body is supposed to be 100% functional. Okay? But because of you, that person telling you a hypocrite, you go to church, you do whatever. But because of you, okay, the church is supposed to be 100% functional is, the body is 30% functional because of you. So if a doctor tells you that your body, all organs, the brain, the heart, the kidneys are at 30% functional, they are 30% functional, how do you look like? So it's because of you that the church is the way it is.
It's deteriorating.
Because you're part of the 70% dysfunctional members. So how do you expect the 30% to function right well if 70% is dormant or dying or dead? And then they will leave you alone. But that's the reality. We have to strengthen one another. We have to accompany one another. We have to strengthen one another.
How about the ones that watch TV on Sunday, the Mass?
I'll ask them, where were you? I'm singing the Mass. Oh, I'm watching the Mass.
Now, if they are shut-ins, okay, that's a different story, okay? Sometimes they can't get right to church, okay, they are sick, that's a different story. But if you are able to come to Mass, watching Mass on TV doesn't suffice.
That's what I thought.
It's only under those circumstances where people are sick, okay? The term the usual use as shut-ins, okay? Yes. So, we say, okay, so Sunday worship fulfills the moral command. So, do that. So, the Sunday celebration of the Lord's Day and His Eucharist is at the heart of the Church's life. Sunday is the day on which the Paschal mystery is celebrated in light of the apostolic tradition and is to be observed as the foremost holy day of obligation in the universal church. Holy day of obligation. That is Canon 1246. Even the law of the church, it must be observed. That's why when I go, I omit that obligation without reasonable cause, grave cause, I have to go to confession. I have committed a sin. That sin is refusal to honor God, to worship Him without any reasonable cause. So it's an obligation within the universal church. So also to be observed at the day of the nativity of, let's keep talking about other holidays of obligation. Sunday is an obligation. But also the nativity of our Lord Jesus Christ, Christmas, is obligation. The Epiphany, the Ascension, the feast of the body and the blood of Jesus Christ. Okay? That is coming this next Sunday, which falls on a Sunday. So, the feast of Mary, the Mother of God, which is now New Year's. Okay? This feast is so important that even today, you hear in some dioceses, oh, it's not a day of obligation. It's Mary, the Mother of God. Okay? Her Immaculate Conception. When is that? December 8th. Her Assumption. August 15th. The Feast of St. Joseph. The Feast of also St. Peter and Paul. And the Feast of all the Saints. Which is? November 1st. Okay. So, those are holidays. This practice of the Christian assembly dates from the beginnings of the apostolic age. As we hear in the book of Acts, but also in Corinthians, but also we're going to look at a text in Hebrews. Okay? So, the letter of the Hebrews reminds the faithful not to neglect to meet together, as is the habit of some, but to encourage one another. That is a very important text, okay? To encourage one another. We come to worship, but we need that constant encouragement. Why? Why do we need encouragement? Because we are weak. And left alone, on my own, I can falter and backslide. Okay? So somebody will come to me, are you going to church Sunday? Oh, well, get up, let's go. Encouragement. I've been praying to God, God doesn't hear me. God doesn't hear you. Why? Are you evil? So encouraging one another is very important. Hebrews 10:25, but let's begin with verse 16. Let us begin with verse 19. Let's Hebrews chapter 10, verse 19. The letter to the Hebrews, chapter 10, beginning with verse 19. Okay, the writer of this letter, listen to what he's saying. Okay? Basically, the times in which he wrote this letter was written, most likely was a time when the church was being persecuted. Okay? And so, in terms of persecution, it's easy for people to fall away, backslide. So this is a letter of encouragement. They have gone so far. Don't drop it. Don't drop the ball. Keep on going. You are approaching the finish line. Why give up? Okay? Or because you have struggled so far. Okay? So keep going. That was basically the context. So therefore, brothers, since through the blood of Jesus, we have confidence of entrance into the sanctuary by the new and living way opened for us through the veil that is his body. What is that? What is the veil? The veil, remember the veil in the temple. So to reach the Holy of Holies, the high priest had to go through the veil. Behind the veil. Okay, now, how do we enter the Holy of Holies? Jesus Christ was wounded, so we enter through the veil. Okay? His body is now entering into the mystery of God. So that's what the writer is talking about here. Okay? By the new and living way, meaning his humanity. By the new and living way, he opened it for us through the veil that is his flesh. And since we have a great high priest over the house of God, let us approach with a sincere heart and in absolute trust with our hearts sprinkled clean from an evil conscience and our bodies washed in pure water. Let us hold unwaveringly to our confession, meaning our faith, our confession that gives us hope. For he who made the promise is trustworthy. We must consider how to arouse one another. Can you see that? You don't tell me what to do. I will, because Scripture tells us to. So we must, it's a command. We must consider how to rouse one another. Don't look at your brother, your sister backsliding, falling away, and you say it's none of my business. As we always do today, well, I want peace, I don't want to offend anyone. We all just I'm not going to church on Sunday. Oh, okay. No, it's not okay. Arouse them. If they get mad at you, it's their problem. It's not your problem. So we must consider how to rouse one another to love and good works. Rousing one another to love and good works. But how do we do that? How do we rouse one another to love and good works? By assembling together to break bread. The Eucharist. That's how we rouse one another. So, we take verse 25. We should not stay away from our assembly. This is the 1st century AD. When the apostles, some of them were still alive. We should not stay away from our assembly. Oh, for me, I don't have to go to church. I can pray at home. God is everywhere. So God really doesn't know that He is everywhere. But we know. Because He commands us to go and assemble, but He is everywhere. So probably He forgot. We have to remind Him, hey, you are everywhere, sir. We should not stay away from our assembly, as is the custom of some. see? It's a custom of some. Just stay away.
And was century ago?
First century AD. This is before 100. This is the apostolic church, the church of the apostles, telling us these things.
So there were already complaints that people would assemble, right?
The human heart is the same. Yes, we're crazy. So you should not stay away from the sin as the custom of some. So what do you need? But encourage one another. Encouragement. Encourage one another, and this all the more as you see the day drawing near. If we sin deliberately after receiving knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains sacrifice for sins, but a fearful prospect of judgment and a flaming fire that is going to consume the adversaries. So don't fall away. Having known the truth and falling away, there is no remedy for sin. Anyone who rejects the law of Moses is put to death without pity on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. Do you not think that a much worse punishment is due the one who has contempt for the Son of God, considers unclean the covenant blood by which he was consecrated, and insults the Spirit of grace? That's what we do when we refuse to assemble. So we can read more of that chapter. Chapter 10. I love my God, but I love God, but I don't go to church. God says you don't love Him. You have contempt for His commandments, so you don't love Him. You claim I love Him. No, you don't. Why? Because He says so.
When people say that to me, I say to them, well then why Jesus? And I make them tell me, what's Jesus all about?
Yeah, what is He about?
Yeah.
Because if God is everywhere, there was no need for the incarnation.
Right.
Because He doesn't begin to be everywhere. He is the Lord of space and time. He fills all space and time without being part of it. Not after the incarnation, but since creation. So why Jesus?
Why did He create the church to assemble?
And why the incarnation? Why the incarnation? When did He become man?
I can't answer.
Yes. So they don't understand that the mechanism of salvation as incarnation as salvation. Okay, so that is Sunday Eucharist. We continue. Okay. And this next thing is from the sermons, one sermon on Sunday. Tradition preserves the memory of an ever timely exaltation. Come to church early.
Look at me, I'm there before you are.
I told you the reason I don't come early.
But see, you got an excuse.
No,
I
you know the reason? It
Yes.
is sad, but it's true. But you have to control this. When you as every one of us, especially if you are the priest, you're going to preside over the liturgy, you have to prepare yourself for liturgy. So when you show up in our sacristies, vestibules early, people just want to talk to you. Oh Father, this, what? Even about things that are not necessary. They want to talk to you. So I stay away. And I come to 3 minutes to Mass. So that there's no opportunity to, because it becomes a distraction. But always the earlier the better.
All I'm saying is don't look at me when you say come to church early. I'm always there early.
If the mass is today, it's supposed to be.
Okay, so come to church early.
This side.
approach the Lord and confess your sins.
This guy once in a while will say, I don't go to confession because I made my confession to God.
Wow, I confess to my God.
What can I tell the guy that?
Where's your God? What did he, the voice, the best way to say, what did he say?
What is?
Because for me, when I go to confession, I hear what God says. He says, I absolve you, all your sins are forgiven. Ask them, what did he say? No, really, that can make one thing. For me, when I go to confession, I hear God say to me, I absolve you from all your sins. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
You know, these people talk directly to God. No.
But you ask them, what did he say? Were you forgiven? What did he say? Did he retain your sins or did he forgive? Did he absolve? Okay. Yes. Okay. So approach the Lord and confess your sins. Repent in prayer. Repent in prayer. The way we begin Mass, okay, by the Confidio, means that we have already entered into the spirit of sacrifice, and we know in order for me to sacrifice, I have to be clean. So we enter into the prayer of repentance. That's the silence required. The church is very specific that it is highly recommended before Mass to keep the environment silent, quiet. A quiet environment. And what breaks that silence is the opening hymn. Because the opening hymn is what gathers us together into one act of worship. And then you go to churches and priests tell you, oh, now greet one another. So instead of getting into the act that gathers us together as one body, which is the opening hymn, then we enter into distractions. So we begin the liturgy by making noise rather than prayer. And what is so funny about it is that some of the priests, not all, but some of the priests, because I know some of them, some of the priests who bring those novelties in, who greet one another as we begin the liturgy, they are the most impersonal priests. They don't even talk to people. So you wonder, why don't you do this? So it's very important always to understand the value of these things. So one of the biggest ways the devil distracts us from drawing grace, life from the Eucharist, is noise. Not preparing ourselves for Mass. Because if I don't have the proper disposition, God is going to pass by, but I will not notice. That's how he does it.
When I was growing up, we were taught not to talk before Mass, not to talk in church, just to pray Mass. I mean, it was so strict. So when came the breakdown? I mean, was it through the catechism that we don't teach our children, or what changed? I mean, where priests start saying things like you said, you know?
Well, because priests, come from us, okay? They come from among us. So what affects basically society will also affect the church, because they come from there. Okay, they don't drop, priests don't drop, they come from us. So what happens is, something happened, especially in the West, but it's also now catching up. Every other land is catching up with it. But once there is a break in the chain of authority in the family, that's what happens. Yes. Once there is that break, once there's no children, there's no difference between a parent and a child in terms of authority in their home. There's no whatever. That's what happens. So when that child from that environment becomes a priest, a bishop will not tell me what to do. At the church where I'm assigned, I will do what I want. Because there's a break in that chain of authority. Not that the parents are authoritarian, but they are an authority. Not that bishops are authoritarian, though some are, but they are an authority. And I have the obligation to obey them in whatever pertains to faith and morals. I can't say that I will celebrate the liturgy the way I want, but the bishops have documents. And so what we are talking about here are the things are in the documents the bishops give to us. Priests know how to celebrate Mass. No, Mass is so important. The celebration of the Eucharist is so important. Okay? Nicholas, are you listening? It is so important, okay, that the church goes to great length to instruct a priest on how to do it. So there is what we call the Missal. That book, or is the priest reads from. In that book, there are inscriptions or writings in red, which are instructions to the priest. This is what you need to do at this time. They are there in red, not in blue. Not in C. They're in red. And then, as if that is not enough, okay, because of the importance of the sacrifice and following everything as the rite of Mass prescribes it. Why? Because the mystery is unfolding through the rite. This is very significant. The mystery is unfolding. So the rite of Mass is what makes present the mystery. So you have to be attentive and you have to do it as the church tells you to do it. So, as if this is not enough, then the church comes up with what we call the general instructions on or of the Roman Missal. An entire book of instructions on how to approach the Missal, which has instructions in red on how to celebrate the Eucharist. That is how important the Eucharist is. Now, do we read it? It's there in red. Every part of Mass, there is instructions in red at every part of the rite. We get there and we do our own thing. Do our own thing. Do what we want. Just read the instructions. It's not your Mass. It's not your liturgy. It's the liturgy of the church. Okay? Now, some many priests do if they follow it as it is there. But some just will do whatever they want. Yes.
Father, what's that? Rubrics? What is that?
Rubrics are instructions.
Okay.
Okay?
Is that a separate?
Written in red.
Oh, so that is what's
Those
written.
are those are
Gotcha.
called rubrics.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Those
I didn't know if that's a
instructions.
separate book or.
The separate book is the general instruction.
Bingo.
Yes.
To the rubric.
Yes.
Got
The
it.
Roman Missal. Yes.
Is it possible, does the Missal have any Eucharistic prayers that are not in the Missalette?
The Missalette is very different from the Missal.
Because
Missalettes are just, a Missalette is not even an official liturgical book, at least as far as the celebration is. But because, it's intended, the Missalettes we get in our pews are intended to assist us prepare ourselves for Mass. They're not intended for us to read along. So when the Word of God is being proclaimed, that's why lectors are supposed to proclaim well. We're supposed to be listening, not reading along. But there could be situations where a person is, they can't hear well. So in those situations, probably it wasn't.
The reason I asked, because there was a Eucharist, the pastor had read a Eucharistic prayer that wasn't in the missalette. And so when I asked him, Father, I asked him after Mass, I said, Father, I didn't see that in that.
Under what circumstances? Was it like
Just a regular
unusual?
Mass.
That's laziness. Because you have, the Missal is there, it's the official book, not a missalette.
So there's no other Eucharistic prayers.
Well, in the missalette, okay, they can get the Eucharistic prayers from the Missal and put them in the missalette. But a priest is not supposed to read from a missalette, except in circumstances where it happens. Okay? The priest can go to a mission, okay, station, whatever. He's supposed to take the missal with him and everything, and he gets there and he forgot the missal. Okay? And all they have there is a missalette. In situations like that, it can happen. But under normal circumstances like here in our church, what would be the excuse for me to put a missalette on the church? The missal is there.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize the Eucharistic prayer that he read. It wasn't, I mean, it was just.
Probably, if it's a missalette, probably the Eucharistic prayer there is valid. It could have been either one of the four. Was it a Sunday Mass?
No, he acknowledged that it wasn't in there. He said, because he specifically said, it's a prayer that's not in the missalette. So
It's a prayer that is not in the Missal.
he said it's a prayer that's in the missal, but not in the missalette.
Okay, so what did he read from?
The missal is what he said he read from. And he said that the prayer, the Eucharistic prayer that he read from,
Okay,
in the missal
I understand
is
that.
not in the missalette.
Yeah, because the missalette is not an official liturgical book.
So there are Eucharistic prayers in the missal that are not in the
Yeah, because the
missal.
missalette is not a missal.
No, okay.
Okay, they copy certain things, whatever, but it's not a full missal.
Not all the prayers are.
Not all the prayers are.
So there are more than 4 Eucharistic prayers.
Yes.
More than 4.
Yeah, more
There
than.
are more than
But the
40.
4 are what we use regularly on Sundays.
So you're right.
But there could be other masses,
We don't
okay,
know.
which can use the other 3 prayers of reconciliation. Okay? Eucharistic prayers of reconciliation. Yes. Okay, so let's set this down. So be early, okay, repent, be present at the sacred and the divine liturgy, conclude its prayers, don't leave.
After you leave after communion.
Conclude its prayer and do not leave before the dismissal. We have often said, this day is given to you for prayer and rest. This is the day that the Lord has made, let us rejoice and be glad. No, this is the day the Lord has made, let us get out of here. That's how we look at it now. So a parish is a definite community of the Christian faithful established on a stable basis within a particular church. The pastoral care of the parish is entrusted to a pastor as its own shepherd under the authority of the diocesan bishop. It is the place where all the faithful can be gathered together for the